So what's inside the adjuster? Well, that's a very good question. So here we've got one loosely assembled so that we can open him up quickly to show you what's inside. So we've got our end cap. End cap is changed depending on the application, whether it's a fork valve or a shock valve. Behind that there, so that retains our check plate for the rebound or the refill. So every time you compress, oil goes through there. Every time you return, it comes back through these outer holes. So we'll just sit that aside there. And we have our outer body, and that's our outer cap. So the outer cap, once again, depending on the application, so whether it's a fork or a shock, different size, different thread, different length. So sitting that aside, then we've got the guts of our valve. So on the end, we have our low speed adjuster. So we'll just pull that out of there. Looks like that. So it's got a little needle valve on the end. All right. Multi-purpose tooling, so it can be used with a Formula Allen key, flat blade screwdriver, T27 Torx, and pretty much whatever else you can jam in there to adjust it. Inside the adjuster, so we have stainless body, and we have a hard anodized end cap that retains the adjuster, and inside of that is the magic. So we have our cone. So our cone has radial holes around it. Not all are drilled, depending on application once again. So the way it works is we have our low speed, I don't know if you can see through there, so low speed oil flow comes through there. So that sits up against that surface. So in low speed applications, you're metering with the little adjuster. When the terrain allows, you want more oil flow, the cone moves back in the body, like so, up against its stopper. So that gives you metering oil control, and that is all controlled by these springs here. So you've got two springs, depending once again on the application, is depending on what rate they are. In behind the center spring, you have a little blow-off plate. So when it all gets massive out on the trail, there is an overpressure check valve in there. So that allows blow off to allow the suspension to move, because in certain applications, you need to get the wheel out of the way. Otherwise, it just boots you to the moon. Now, prior to that happening, and you've gone to maximum oil flow, the drain around the outside of the body there also regulates the amount of oil that can move through the adjuster. So what happens is when this overcomes with the amount of oil that you're trying to move through in high speed hits, or say long drops, big G outs and things like that, what happens is it creates back pressure. That back pressure feeds oil to the backside of this little piston here. So down in that piston there's tiny little holes, and that allows that piston push forward. So in certain applications, depending on the amount of oil you're trying to move or the pressure that's within the circuit, that piston moves forward, which pushes the springs and shuts off the cone. So in applications like the G outs, like I talked about, so fairly low speed movement, lots of oil moving because your displacement of your rod is quite high, then that moves forward to then regulate and give you more low speed control. High speed application, once again, that's open. That is also increasing the pressure with the springs on the back of the cone, but then in certain application, it allows it to blow off internally. That's roughly the guts of the adjuster. There's a bit more in there going on than that, but that gives you a very basic overview on how it works and why it works so well. Any questions or anything like that, always sing out.